Imagine this, you wake up in the morning, roll over and grab your phone. Before your feet even touch the floor, you've scrolled through 3 apps, ordered coffee to your doorstep, and turned on the heat without leaving bed. Sounds convenient, right? But here's the catch. Our addiction to comfort might actually be making us weaker, unhappier, and even less alive. Crazy, isn't it? That's exactly what Michael Easter's The Comfort Crisis dives into. He points out something most of us probably feel deep down but rarely think about. Life's gotten too easy. Sure, we've got everything we need at our fingertips, but all this convenience comes at a cost. It's like muscles, you stop using them and they weaken. The same thing happens to our minds and spirits when we dodge discomfort. Easter argues that when we skip out on challenges, we're missing out on the very things that make life meaningful. Growth, resilience, and fulfillment. Think about it. When was the last time you felt truly proud of something that came easily? And here's why this book matters. We're living in a world designed to eliminate friction. Food is instant, entertainment is endless, and we barely have to move to get through our day. But while everything around us says, relax, take it easy, our biology is screaming, get uncomfortable, struggle a little. Easter doesn't just say this to scare us. He backs it up with science, stories, and even some wild adventures of his own. It's like he's holding up a mirror and saying, hey, if you're feeling stuck or restless, this might be why. Now, let me ask you this. Do you ever feel like you're going through the motions? Like something's missing, but you can't quite put your finger on it? If so, this book might just be for you. Maybe you're someone who's into self-improvement and wants to level up. Or maybe you're stuck in a 9-to-5 rut, wondering if there's more to life than Zoom meetings and Netflix binges. Or hey, maybe you're the adventurous type who loves pushing your limits and need a reminder to keep going. Whatever your story, Easter's message is universal. Stepping outside your comfort zone isn't just a good idea. It's the key to living fully. And here's the best part. It's not about climbing Everest tomorrow or quitting your job to live in the woods. It's about making small shifts, finding little ways to reintroduce challenge and discomfort into your life. So are you ready to find out why stepping into the uncomfortable might just be the most liberating thing you'll ever do? Stick around, this journey is just getting started. Chapter 1. The tyranny of comfort. It's easy to take comfort for granted. In fact, modern life has conditioned us to expect it. From the moment we wake up in climate-controlled bedrooms to the instant we get our first caffeine boost via perfectly engineered coffee machines, our days are shaped by convenience. And why not? Isn't this the goal of progress? To make life as easy as possible? Yet, for all the time, effort, and resources we've poured into achieving comfort, many of us are left feeling restless, unfulfilled, and strangely fragile. Michael Easter begins by challenging the very premise that comfort is the ultimate goal. Humans, he explains, are biologically hardwired to endure discomfort. For millennia, survival depended on it. Hunting, gathering, and navigating an often hostile environment required resilience, adaptability, and grit. These weren't just survival traits. They were deeply ingrained parts of who we were. But as our species evolved and our environments became safer, the need for struggle diminished. With it, so did our ability to face challenges head-on. Consider something as basic as temperature. Not too long ago, humans relied on their bodies and basic clothing to withstand the elements. A cold winter wasn't just unpleasant. It was a test of endurance. Today, a simple thermostat adjustment ensures that we're never too cold or too hot, eliminating the need for our bodies to adapt. While this may seem like progress, Easter points out that it's emblematic of a larger problem. We've created an environment where the slightest discomfort is avoided at all costs. Take exercise as another example. In the past, physical activity was a natural part of life. Hunting required stamina, carrying resources demanded strength, and survival involved constant movement. Now, gyms and fitness classes try to replicate what used to be second nature, but even then, many of us struggle to find the motivation. Why? Because our lives are structured around eliminating effort. We drive instead of walk, sit instead of stand, and stream instead of engage. This ease isn't just making us physically weaker, it's also impacting our mental and emotional health. Easter illustrates this point with a stark observation. Comfort often breeds complacency. When life becomes too easy, we lose the drive to push ourselves, to grow, and to seek out meaningful challenges. Think about how you feel after a lazy weekend of binge-watching shows and snacking. Sure, it's relaxing in the moment, but by Sunday evening, there's often a sense of emptiness or even guilt. That's not because relaxation is bad. It's because our brains and bodies crave a balance of effort and rest. Without effort, rest feels hollow. The problem isn't just individual, either. On a societal level, our obsession with convenience has led to widespread issues like obesity, chronic disease, and mental health struggles. Easter shares compelling research showing that the very comforts we've worked so hard to achieve are now undermining our well-being. For example, studies indicate that sedentary lifestyles, driven by technological convenience, are linked to higher rates of anxiety and depression. Similarly, the overabundance of calorie-dense, easily accessible foods is a major contributor to the obesity epidemic. But recognizing the hidden costs of comfort is only the first step. Easter doesn't suggest that we abandon modern conveniences altogether. Rather, he challenges us to embrace manageable discomfort in our daily lives. This doesn't mean running marathons or sleeping in the wilderness, though those are certainly options for the adventurous. It can be as simple as walking to the store instead of driving, turning off the air conditioning on a mild day, or challenging yourself to a digital detox. These small acts of discomfort can reawaken the resilience and adaptability that lie dormant within us. Easter shares the story of a man who, after years of sedentary living, decided to walk to work every day. At first, the idea of spending an hour on foot each morning seemed daunting. But as the weeks passed, the man began to notice changes. He felt more energized, his mood improved, and he even started sleeping better. What had initially felt like a chore became the highlight of his day, a time to reflect, observe the world around him, and reconnect with his physical self. This story highlights an important truth. Discomfort, when approached intentionally, can be transformative. It forces us to engage with the world in new ways, to break free from autopilot, and to rediscover the joy of overcoming challenges. Each small act of discomfort becomes a building block for greater resilience, vitality, and fulfillment. Easter's insights extend beyond physical challenges. He also explores the psychological aspects of comfort and discomfort, noting that avoiding difficult emotions can be just as harmful as avoiding physical strain. When we shield ourselves from stress, conflict, or uncertainty, we miss opportunities to grow emotionally. Facing discomfort, whether it's a tough conversation, a moment of vulnerability, or a period of uncertainty, can strengthen our emotional resilience and deepen our relationships. The chapter ends with a call to action. Reintroduce discomfort into your life in small, intentional ways. The goal isn't to make life harder for the sake of it, but to rediscover the balance between comfort and challenge. By doing so, you can tap into the strength and vitality that have always been a part of human nature. Instead of viewing discomfort as something to be avoided, see it as an opportunity to grow, adapt, and thrive. This shift in perspective isn't just empowering. It's essential for living a full and meaningful life. Chapter 2. The Misogi Challenge. Every now and then, we come across stories of people doing something extraordinary, something that makes us wonder, why would anyone put themselves through that? Climbing mountains in freezing temperatures, running ultramarathons through the desert, or spending days in complete silence. All of it sounds both awe-inspiring and a little absurd. Yet, these stories capture something ancient, something deeply human. The innate desire to push boundaries and test limits. Michael Easter brings this idea to life by introducing the concept of misogi, an ancient Japanese practice rooted in extreme challenges designed to purify the mind, body, and spirit. It's not just about physical endurance. It's about transformation. Misogi isn't your typical self-help exercise or a trendy wellness routine. It's raw and uncomfortable by design. The idea is simple. Take on a task so daunting that it forces you to confront your limits, physically and mentally. Misogi challenges are intentionally extreme, with rules that might make you pause. Easter emphasizes one in particular. The challenge should have only a 50% chance of success. At first, this might sound counterintuitive. Why set yourself up for something you might not achieve? But that's the point. The very act of taking on such a challenge forces you to redefine what you think you're capable of. Success isn't the goal. It's the growth that happens when you push yourself beyond the edge of comfort. Easter shares an unforgettable example of a modern misogi. A friend of his, a former collegiate athlete, decided to embark on a challenge that involved carrying a heavy rock underwater for miles in the ocean. It was grueling, dangerous, and utterly ridiculous by conventional standards. But that's exactly what made it transformative. By the end, it wasn't just about finishing the task. The experience left him with a deeper understanding of his resilience, a newfound clarity about his capabilities, and an unshakable sense of accomplishment. The takeaway wasn't about physical strength. It was about the mental and emotional growth that came from willingly stepping into discomfort. In a world where success is often measured by predictability and guarantees, the 50% rule feels radical. But Easter explains that it's this very uncertainty that makes misogi so powerful. When you engage in a challenge where failure is a real possibility, you're forced to confront fear, self-doubt, and the stories you tell yourself about your limits. And often, those limits are far more flexible than you realize. The challenge becomes a mirror, reflecting not just your physical abilities, but your mental resilience and capacity to adapt. This idea isn't just theoretical. Science backs it up. Research shows that humans are incredibly adaptable, both physically and mentally, when pushed into unfamiliar or demanding situations. Our brains release dopamine and endorphins during high-stress activities, creating a sense of focus and exhilaration. Additionally, facing uncertainty helps rewire neural pathways, making us more resilient to stress and better equipped to handle future challenges. In essence, misogi isn't just an exercise in physical endurance. It's a way to train your brain to thrive under pressure. Easter draws a compelling parallel between misogi and the controlled discomfort practices discussed earlier. Both serve as reminders that growth rarely happens in a comfort zone. Whether it's skipping the elevator for the stairs or taking on a misogi-level challenge, the principle is the same. Discomfort leads to growth. However, misogi takes this concept to an entirely different level by demanding complete immersion in the experience. It's not about incremental change. It's about profound transformation. A key aspect of misogi is its ability to strip away the noise of daily life. In the middle of a grueling challenge, there's no room for distractions. You're left with raw emotions, physical sensations, and a singular focus on the task at hand. This state of hyperfocus often leads to moments of clarity and insight, where participants discover truths about themselves that they might never have unearthed otherwise. It's a kind of self-reckoning, a chance to see who you really are when the layers of comfort and routine are peeled away. One of the most relatable aspects of misogi is its accessibility. While not everyone will be carrying rocks underwater or scaling mountains, the principle can be adapted to fit any lifestyle. The key is choosing a challenge that feels impossible yet attainable, one that forces you to stretch beyond your perceived limits. For some, this might mean running their first marathon. For others, it could be as simple as spending a day without technology or embarking on a difficult conversation they've been avoiding. The form of the challenge matters less than the intention behind it. Easter shares another powerful story of a woman who, inspired by the idea of misogi, decided to hike a challenging trail alone, a feat she had always dismissed as something other people do. The experience was transformative. She faced physical exhaustion, moments of doubt, and even a few moments of fear. But by the end, she felt an overwhelming sense of empowerment. What she gained wasn't just the pride of completing the hike. It was the knowledge that she was far stronger and more capable than she had ever believed. This concept of perceived limitations is central to the misogi philosophy. Most of us operate within self-imposed boundaries, often shaped by past experiences, societal expectations, or fear of failure. Misogi challenges those boundaries, revealing that they're often more mental than physical. It forces you to ask, what else have I been holding back from because I assumed I couldn't do it? That question alone can spark profound change. For anyone considering a misogi-inspired challenge, Easter offers practical guidance. Start by identifying something that feels just out of reach, a goal that excites and terrifies you in equal measure. Make sure it's something with a clear endpoint and a tangible result, even if success isn't guaranteed. And most importantly, approach it with the right mindset. This isn't about impressing others or proving something. It's about discovering something new about yourself. By the end of a misogi, whether you succeed or fail by conventional standards, you'll come away transformed. You'll have a deeper understanding of your resilience, a renewed sense of purpose, and perhaps most importantly, a reminder that life's most meaningful moments often come when we step into the unknown. Misogi challenges us to embrace that uncertainty, not as something to fear, but as an opportunity to grow in ways we never imagined. Chapter 3. The Science of Discomfort. It's natural to avoid discomfort. Whether it's choosing the closest parking spot to avoid a longer walk, skipping a workout after a long day, or turning down a challenge because it seems too daunting, our instinct is to seek ease. This aversion to discomfort is hardwired into our biology. For our ancestors, avoiding unnecessary risks was a survival mechanism. Conserving energy, steering clear of danger, and seeking shelter weren't just preferences. They were essential for staying alive. But in today's world, where survival no longer depends on immediate physical challenges, this instinct has become more of a barrier than a benefit. Michael Easter dives into the science behind this aversion, exploring how our brains and bodies react to discomfort and why this reaction, though deeply ingrained, isn't always in our best interest. At the heart of it lies a simple yet profound truth. Discomfort is a catalyst for growth. When we encounter physical or mental stressors, our bodies and minds adapt to overcome them. This process of adaptation isn't just beneficial, it's essential for our health, resilience, and overall well-being. Easter explains this concept through the lens of neuroscience. Our brains are wired to prioritize immediate comfort and safety. The amygdala, often called the brain's fear center, is quick to alert us to potential threats, whether real or perceived. This was crucial in a world filled with predators and physical dangers, but today, the amygdala often overreacts, interpreting minor discomforts as significant threats. The result? We avoid situations that challenge us, even when those situations could lead to growth. One example Easter provides is the concept of hormesis, a process where small, controlled stressors trigger positive adaptations. Think about strength training. Lifting weights creates tiny tears in muscle fibers, and as the body repairs these tears, the muscles grow stronger. The same principle applies to other areas of life. Controlled exposure to discomfort, whether it's physical, exercise, learning a new skill, or facing a fear, forces the brain and body to adapt, becoming more resilient in the process. This adaptation isn't limited to the physical realm. Psychological discomfort, too, has its benefits. Consider the feeling of nervousness before a public speech. It's unpleasant, but it also heightens focus and sharpens your ability to perform under pressure. Over time, repeated exposure to such situations builds confidence and reduces anxiety. In contrast, avoiding these experiences reinforces the brain's perception that they're dangerous, making it even harder to face them in the future. Easter draws on evolutionary biology to explain why humans are uniquely equipped to handle discomfort. Our ancestors thrived not because they avoided challenges, but because they adapted to them. Hunting and gathering required endurance, problem-solving, and cooperation. Facing harsh climates demanded innovation and resilience. These traits, forged through constant interaction with discomfort, are hardwired into our DNA. Yet, in a world of convenience and ease, we've largely lost touch with these evolutionary advantages. One particularly compelling example comes from the research on cold exposure. Studies have shown that brief, controlled exposure to cold temperatures, such as taking a cold shower or spending time in a cold environment, can have significant health benefits. It boosts circulation, enhances immune function, and even improves mental clarity. These benefits stem from the body's response to the stress of cold, which activates processes designed to help us adapt and thrive. Easter uses this example to illustrate a broader point. By reintroducing controlled discomfort into our lives, we can tap into the adaptive mechanisms that have always been a part of human nature. Another key area Easter explores is the psychological impact of avoiding discomfort. In today's world, where convenience is king, many of us are insulated from even the smallest challenges. Food is delivered to our doors, entertainment is available at the push of a button, and technology ensures that we rarely have to wait or struggle. While these conveniences are undeniably helpful, they also deprive us of opportunities to build patience, problem-solving skills, and resilience. Over time, this lack of challenge can lead to feelings of restlessness, dissatisfaction, and even anxiety. Easter introduces the concept of deliberate discomfort as a way to counteract these effects. Deliberate discomfort involves intentionally seeking out challenges that push you outside your comfort zone. Whether it's a physical challenge, a mental puzzle, or a difficult conversation. The goal isn't to make life harder than it needs to be, but to create opportunities for growth and adaptation. By doing so, you not only build resilience but also rediscover a sense of purpose and accomplishment that's often missing in a life of ease. The science supports this approach. Research in psychology shows that people who regularly engage in activities that challenge them report higher levels of happiness and life satisfaction. This may seem counterintuitive. After all, how can discomfort lead to happiness? But the answer lies in the sense of achievement and growth that comes from overcoming challenges. Each time you face a difficult situation and come out stronger, you build a foundation of confidence and resilience that carries over into other areas of life. Easter emphasizes that discomfort doesn't have to be extreme to be effective. Small, consistent challenges can have a profound impact. It might be as simple as taking the stairs instead of the elevator, setting aside time each day to learn something new, or committing to a regular workout routine. The key is to make these challenges intentional and consistent, allowing your brain and body to adapt over time. By the end of this chapter, one thing becomes clear. Discomfort isn't the enemy. It's an ally in disguise. It's a tool for growth, a path to resilience, and a way to reconnect with the strengths that have always been a part of us. Easter's exploration of the science of discomfort challenges us to rethink our relationship with ease and to embrace the idea that a little struggle can lead to a lot of growth. In doing so, we not only improve our mental and physical health but also rediscover the sense of purpose and vitality that comes from living a life of intentional challenge. Chapter 4. Nature as a catalyst for growth in a world dominated by screens and cement. The idea of stepping into nature can feel like stepping into another era. For many, the closest they come to the outdoors is a carefully curated park or a scenic photo saved as a screensaver. Yet, there's something undeniable about the pull of the wild. It's primal, almost instinctual, and Michael Easter argues that this connection isn't just nostalgic. It's essential for our well-being and growth. Nature, in its raw and unpredictable form, is not merely a backdrop for adventure. It's a powerful catalyst for physical, mental, and emotional transformation. Easter's exploration begins with a simple observation. Our ancestors didn't have the luxury of separating themselves from the natural world. Survival required them to navigate landscapes, weather extremes, and unpredictable challenges. These experiences didn't just shape their bodies but also honed their minds, creating a unique synergy between human evolution and the environment. In contrast, modern life has cocooned us in climate-controlled buildings, artificial lighting, and endless digital distractions, severing us from the very source of our vitality. The science behind the benefits of nature is compelling. Research consistently shows that spending time outdoors reduces stress, lowers blood pressure, and improves mental clarity. The Japanese practice of Shinrin-yoku, or forest bathing, is a perfect example. Simply walking among trees, breathing in the fresh air, and soaking in the sights and sounds of a forest has been shown to lower cortisol levels and enhance feelings of calm. Easter weaves this research into a larger narrative, emphasizing that these benefits are not luxuries. They're necessities for a balanced and healthy life. But it's not just about stress relief. Nature also challenges us in ways that urban environments cannot. Easter shares the story of a group of hikers who embarked on a multi-day trek through rugged terrain. The journey tested their endurance, problem-solving skills, and ability to work together. The physical exertion, combined with the unpredictability of the wilderness, forced them to confront their limits and adapt. By the end of the trek, they didn't just feel a sense of accomplishment. They felt a deeper connection to themselves and the world around them. This transformative power of nature isn't limited to grand adventures. Even small, everyday interactions with the natural world can have a profound impact. A short walk in a nearby park, planting a garden, or simply sitting quietly by a body of water can provide moments of clarity and inspiration. These experiences remind us of our place in a larger ecosystem, offering perspective and grounding us in ways that modern life often strips away. Easter draws attention to the psychological effects of urbanization, noting how city life can amplify feelings of stress and disconnection. The constant hum of traffic, the glare of screens, and the relentless pace of urban environments can overwhelm our senses and erode our mental health. Nature, on the other hand, offers a reprieve. Its rhythms are slower, its sounds more soothing, and its beauty unfiltered. In nature, we're not bombarded by notifications or deadlines. We're simply present, free to observe and reflect. One of the most fascinating aspects Easter explores is the role of physical challenges in natural settings. Climbing a mountain, navigating a trail, or paddling against the current taps into a primal part of our being. These activities demand focus, resilience, and adaptability, qualities that often lie dormant in our daily routines. The struggle itself becomes a teacher, revealing strengths we didn't know we had and encouraging growth in unexpected ways. Easter recounts his own experiences in the wilderness, where moments of discomfort often gave way to profound insights. He describes one particular journey into a remote desert, where the searing heat, lack of modern conveniences, and vast, empty landscape forced him to confront not just the physical challenges of the environment but also the mental chatter that so often goes unnoticed in everyday life. In that stark and unforgiving setting, he found clarity and a renewed sense of purpose. This connection between nature and personal growth is deeply rooted in our biology. Evolutionary psychologists argue that humans are hardwired to thrive in natural environments. Our brains respond to the colors, patterns, and sounds of nature in ways that urban settings simply cannot replicate. This is why a view of greenery from a hospital window can speed recovery or why students perform better on tests after spending time outdoors. Nature doesn't just restore us. It enhances our capacity to learn, adapt, and grow. Easter challenges readers to rethink their relationship with the natural world. Instead of viewing nature as a luxury or a place to visit occasionally, he encourages us to see it as a partner in our personal development. This shift in perspective can be as simple as spending a few minutes outside each day or as ambitious as planning a wilderness adventure. The key is to engage with nature intentionally, allowing it to challenge and inspire us in ways that modern life cannot. Perhaps the most compelling argument Easter makes is that nature doesn't just benefit individuals, it benefits communities. When people reconnect with the natural world, they often develop a greater sense of responsibility and stewardship. This isn't just about preserving the environment. It's about preserving the qualities that make us human. Resilience, curiosity, and a sense of wonder. By stepping into the wild, we rediscover these traits and bring them back into our daily lives, enriching not just ourselves but the world around us. The chapter closes with a practical challenge. Find a way to reconnect with nature in a meaningful way. It doesn't have to be dramatic or time-consuming. It just needs to be intentional. Take a walk without your phone, plan a weekend camping trip, or simply sit outside and listen to the sounds around you. These small steps can lead to profound changes, reminding us that growth often begins with a single step into the unknown. Nature is waiting, not as a distant escape, but as a close ally in our journey toward a more fulfilling life. Chapter 5. Confronting mortality. It's a reality most of us spend our lives trying to avoid. We will all die. It's a fact as certain as gravity, yet society often treats it like a secret we're not supposed to think about, let alone discuss openly. Death, with all its inevitability and mystery, feels uncomfortable to confront. But Michael Easter argues that avoiding the reality of mortality does us a disservice. By embracing the truth of our impermanence, we can uncover what truly matters, aligning our lives with our deepest values and finding profound satisfaction. The fear of death is as old as humanity itself. From ancient myths about immortality to modern anti-aging industries, much of human effort has been focused on escaping or delaying the end. Yet paradoxically, it's the very act of facing mortality, not running from it, that has the power to transform our lives. Easter explains that when we acknowledge the finite nature of life, our perspective shifts. Mundane worries lose their grip, and we begin to focus on what genuinely brings meaning and joy. One powerful story Easter shares is about a friend who survived a near-death experience. Before the incident, his friend had been caught up in the busyness of life, pursuing success and material goals while feeling vaguely unfulfilled. But after narrowly escaping death, everything changed. He described a newfound clarity, an ability to distinguish what truly mattered from the noise. Relationships became more important than achievements, moments of peace more valuable than possessions. This story, while extraordinary, underscores a universal truth. When we recognize our mortality, we gain the urgency to live fully. Easter doesn't shy away from the discomfort of these realizations, nor does he pretend that they come easily. Confronting mortality often feels like staring into an abyss, and our instinct is to look away. Yet psychology offers tools to help navigate this discomfort. Practices like mindfulness meditation can teach us to sit with the unease, observing it without judgment. Meditation, as Easter explains, is not about escaping from the fear of death but about understanding its place in the larger tapestry of life. By bringing our awareness to the present moment, we begin to see that life's value lies not in its length but in its depth. One of the most intriguing concepts Easter explores is the idea of memento mori, a Latin phrase meaning, remember that you will die. This practice, rooted in ancient Stoic philosophy, involves reflecting on death as a way to inspire purposeful living. Stoics like Marcus Aurelius didn't view death as a morbid obsession but as a guide, a reminder to focus on what truly matters. Easter recounts how adopting a memento mori mindset can be as simple as pausing each morning to consider the fleeting nature of time. This daily reflection isn't meant to be grim. Rather, it's a call to action, a gentle nudge to prioritize what brings joy and fulfillment. Science supports the idea that confronting mortality can lead to a richer life. Studies in psychology have shown that people who engage in end-of-life reflections report greater gratitude, stronger relationships, and increased motivation to pursue meaningful goals. This phenomenon, known as mortality salience, might initially provoke anxiety, but it also prompts a re-evaluation of priorities. Easter highlights research where participants were asked to write about their death. Initially, they experienced discomfort, but over time, many reported a deeper appreciation for life and a clearer sense of purpose. Gratitude emerges as a recurring theme in Easter's exploration. When we understand that life is finite, every moment becomes more precious. Gratitude practices, such as journaling or simply taking a moment to reflect on what you're thankful for, can help cultivate this mindset. Easter shares how he began keeping a gratitude journal, jotting down 3 things he appreciated each day. Some days it was big, things like meaningful conversations or career milestones. Other days it was small moments, a perfect cup of coffee, the warmth of the sun on his face. Over time, this practice transformed his outlook, shifting his focus from what was lacking to what was abundant. Another tool Easter discusses is the power of storytelling. Humans are narrative-driven creatures, and the stories we tell ourselves about life and death shape our experience of both. By rewriting the narrative around mortality, we can transform fear into motivation. Instead of seeing death as a looming threat, we can view it as a reminder to live authentically and fully. Easter suggests journaling as a way to explore this narrative, encouraging readers to reflect on questions like, what do I want to be remembered for? What legacy do I want to leave behind? These reflections aren't just philosophical exercises. They're actionable steps toward aligning life with core values. Easter also touches on cultural differences in how societies approach mortality. In Western culture, death is often sanitized, hidden away in hospitals and nursing homes. In contrast, some cultures openly embrace it, celebrating it as a natural part of life. Take the Mexican tradition of Dia de los Muertos, the Day of the Dead, where families gather to honor deceased loved ones. This celebration isn't somber but joyful, a reminder that death is a continuation of the human story, not its end. Easter argues that adopting elements of these perspectives can help demystify mortality, making it less of a taboo and more of a teacher. The chapter builds toward a simple but profound conclusion. When we stop running from death, we start truly living. Facing mortality isn't about dwelling on the inevitable, but about using it as a compass to guide our choices. It's about recognizing that time is our most valuable resource and choosing to spend it wisely. Whether it's through meditation, gratitude, journaling, or simply pausing to reflect, the practices Easter recommends are tools to help us live with intention and purpose. He closes with a challenge to readers. Spend a few minutes today reflecting on your own mortality, not in a way that provokes fear, but in a way that inspires action. Ask yourself what truly matters and whether your daily life reflects those priorities. It's a practice that may feel uncomfortable at first, but as Easter reminds us, discomfort is where growth begins. In confronting mortality, we find the clarity and courage to live a life that, while finite, is profoundly fulfilling. Chapter 6, Practical Discomfort in Everyday Life. Discomfort has become a lost art in modern living. With endless conveniences and innovations designed to shield us from strain, we've unintentionally built a life that prioritizes comfort at all costs. Yet, as Michael Easter points out, true growth, resilience, and vitality often lie just on the other side of manageable discomfort. This chapter delves into practical ways to incorporate controlled challenges into daily life, proving that you don't need to summit Everest to reap the benefits of intentional hardship. Instead, small, consistent doses of discomfort can serve as powerful tools for transformation. The idea of integrating discomfort into a routine might sound counterintuitive at first. After all, why voluntarily choose something unpleasant when comfort is readily available? The answer lies in the biology of adaptation. Our bodies and minds are designed to respond to stress by growing stronger, whether through building muscle, sharpening focus, or enhancing emotional resilience. Without these challenges, the systems meant to keep us thriving begin to stagnate. Just as muscles atrophy when not used, our mental and emotional fortitude weakens when life becomes too easy. Take fasting, for instance. For thousands of years, humans lived in a feast or famine cycle with regular periods of food scarcity. Our bodies adapted to this rhythm, developing processes like autophagy, where cells clean themselves up and recycle damaged components during fasting periods. In today's world of abundant food and constant snacking, these natural processes are rarely activated. By reintroducing occasional fasting, whether through intermittent fasting or extended periods without eating, we can tap into this ancient mechanism, improving both physical health and mental clarity. Easter shares an example of his own experience with fasting, where the initial hunger pangs felt like insurmountable obstacles. But as he leaned into the discomfort, something unexpected happened. His mind cleared, his energy stabilized, and he found himself appreciating his next meal with a depth he hadn't felt in years. This practice wasn't just about the physical benefits. It became a way to reconnect with his body and challenge the automatic habits of modern eating. Cold exposure offers another accessible yet powerful form of controlled discomfort. Whether it's a cold shower in the morning or a dip in an icy lake, exposing the body to cold temperatures triggers a cascade of physiological benefits. It improves circulation, boosts mood through the release of endorphins, and trains the nervous system to handle stress more effectively. The first seconds of a cold shower may feel like torture, but over time, the practice builds not only physical resilience but also mental toughness. Easter recounts a visit to Iceland, where locals embrace cold exposure as part of their daily routines, often plunging into freezing waters before warming up in natural hot springs. This cultural norm isn't about self-punishment but about celebrating the body's capacity to adapt and thrive. Inspired by this, Easter began incorporating cold exposure into his own life, finding that it sharpened his focus and left him feeling invigorated. Physical challenges are another cornerstone of practical discomfort. Modern life has largely stripped away the need for physical exertion, replacing it with conveniences like cars, elevators, and desk jobs. Yet our bodies are still wired for movement, and neglecting this need can lead to a host of physical and mental health issues. Incorporating regular, intentional movement, whether through exercise, hiking, or even carrying groceries a little farther than necessary, reawakens this primal connection to our physical selves. Easter emphasizes that physical challenges don't need to be extreme to be effective. You don't have to train for a marathon or lift heavy weights to experience growth. The key is to push just beyond your comfort zone, whether that means taking the stairs instead of the elevator, walking instead of driving, or trying a new fitness class. These small acts of effort add up, creating a foundation of strength and resilience over time. What ties all these practices together is the concept of hormesis, a biological principle where small, controlled doses of stress lead to greater strength and adaptability. Just as a vaccine primes the immune system to fight off disease, these microdoses of discomfort train the body and mind to handle life's inevitable challenges with greater ease. Hormesis is a reminder that stress, in the right amounts and contexts, isn't something to be feared, it's something to be embraced. Easter also addresses the psychological barriers that often prevent people from trying these practices. The voice in your head that says, "I'm too busy," or "This is too hard," is often the biggest obstacle. He encourages readers to start small, choosing one area of discomfort to experiment with and gradually building from there. The goal isn't to overhaul your life overnight, but to develop a habit of seeking out manageable challenges and embracing them as opportunities for growth. Another important point Easter makes is the value of tailoring these practices to individual lifestyles and goals. What works for one person may not work for another, and that's okay. The beauty of practical discomfort is its flexibility. Whether you're a busy professional, a stay-at-home parent, or a retiree, there are countless ways to integrate small challenges into your routine. The key is to find what resonates with you and commit to it consistently. Easter shares the story of a friend who started incorporating small acts of discomfort into his daily routine, beginning with a brisk morning walk in chilly weather. Over time, this simple practice evolved into a larger commitment to physical fitness and mindfulness. What started as a minor inconvenience became a cornerstone of his well-being, proving that even the smallest steps can lead to profound transformations. By the end of the chapter, Easter has painted a clear picture. Discomfort, when approached intentionally and with curiosity, is not something to be feared or avoided. It's a tool, a powerful, accessible, and transformative tool that can help us live fuller, healthier, and more resilient lives. The first step is simply to try. Take a cold shower tomorrow morning, skip a meal to see how your body responds, or challenge yourself to walk a little farther than you normally would. These small acts of discomfort may feel insignificant at first, but they hold the potential to reshape not just your habits but your mindset. In leaning into discomfort, you'll discover a strength you never knew you had. Let me ask you something. When was the last time you did something that genuinely pushed you out of your comfort zone? Like, really pushed you. The kind of thing that makes you think, why am I even doing this? Now, imagine if doing stuff like that wasn't just a one-off but a regular part of your life. That's what Michael Easter is talking about in his book, and honestly, it's kind of a game changer. Here's the deal. The world we live in is designed to make everything as easy as possible. You can have food delivered with a tap, binge watch shows for hours, and stay glued to your phone without ever leaving the couch. Sounds great, right? But Easter flips the script and shows us that all this convenience might actually be keeping us stuck. Mentally, physically, and emotionally. The real magic? It's on the other side of discomfort. Yeah, discomfort. The stuff we avoid like the plague. But what if leaning into it could totally transform your life? That's the big idea here. Now, don't worry. This isn't about becoming a monk or climbing Mount Everest next weekend. It's about simple, intentional steps to shake up your routine and reconnect with what actually matters. Easter suggests trying something big and bold at least once a year. He calls it a misogi challenge. It doesn't have to be crazy dangerous, but it should feel just outside your limits, like a 50-50 shot at success. Maybe it's running a half marathon when you've only jogged a mile, or tackling a creative project you've been too nervous to start. These challenges aren't just about the end result. They're about discovering how much you're really capable of. Spoiler, it's probably a lot more than you think. And then there's the everyday stuff. You don't have to wait for some grand adventure to embrace a little discomfort. Try intermittent fasting to reset your relationship with food, or if skipping breakfast sounds like torture, start with cutting snacks. Or how about a cold shower? Yes, it's brutal, but also oddly refreshing, like nature's wake-up slap. These little practices might seem small, but they add up. Over time, they make you tougher, more focused, and way more adaptable to life's curveballs. Easter also makes a strong case for getting out into nature, which, let's be real, most of us could use a lot more of. There's something about the outdoors that puts everything into perspective. Whether it's hiking a trail, camping under the stars, or just taking a walk in the park, being in nature helps you hit the reset button. It's like your brain goes, oh, right, this is what being alive feels like. You come back feeling calmer, clearer, and maybe even a little braver. The coolest part about all of this is how doable it is. You don't need a ton of money, special skills, or a personal trainer shouting at you to step it up. What you do need is a willingness to lean into those moments that feel tough and uncomfortable, because that's where the growth happens. And the payoff is huge. You'll build resilience, that mental and physical toughness that helps you handle whatever life throws at you. You'll feel more alive, more passionate, and more connected to your purpose. And maybe most importantly, you'll stop living on autopilot and start living in a way that really aligns with your values. So, here's the challenge. What's one small, uncomfortable thing you can do today to get started? Maybe it's skipping dessert, taking the stairs, or setting your phone down for an hour and actually sitting with your thoughts. Whatever it is, try it. See how it feels. And who knows? That one small step might just be the start of something bigger.